Welcome to episode 4 of the Scholar Hour here on The Blind Beat. My name is AZ, and we have another interview with a San Antonio Lighthouse Scholarship winner of the year of 2020. Today we speak to LeKisha Holmes. She is currently working on her master's in Clinical Rehabilitation at Texas Tech University. LeKisha was born with glaucoma and had to deal with vision changes throughout her childhood and adult life. Listen as she details the moment when she realized that she was going to have to attend a rehabilitation center in order for her to be able to accomplish her goals. So without further delay, here's the interview with LeKisha Holmes. Alright guys, thanks for listening to The Blind Beat, the Scholar Hour. And today with me I have LeKisha Holmes. How you doing today, Keisha?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for joining us as we continue to get to know our scholarship winners for this year. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Waukegan, Illinois, and at the age of 5, my family moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and so I stayed there pretty much the majority of my life until I became an older adult.
And now you are here in San Antonio, correct?
Yes, me and my family moved to San Antonio at the end of 2018.
How did you find out about the Lighthouse Scholarship?
So last year, so I'm a part of the San Antonio Jets, which is in all the blind beat baseball team here in San Antonio. And we were doing fundraising for the team last year. And Axel's aunt met with Mike a couple of times just to find out more about the Lighthouse. And in one of their meetings, she found out that you guys offer a scholarship. And I was in school at the time last year, but we found out around April, so it was like already too late to apply. And so she's like, well, you got to apply next year. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I don't know what made me think about it, but I was starting a new master's program this last fall, and so I was like, maybe I should start applying for scholarships. And so I looked it up online, and that's how I found it again.
Awesome. So tell me, what is your eye condition?
I was born with congenital glaucoma and cataracts. So when I was first born, when my mom took a look at me, she noticed that my eyes were different. They had like a blue tint instead of brown, and there was a hint of gray. And so they ran some tests, and at 3 days old, I was diagnosed with congenital glaucoma.
So as you were growing up, did your eyesight fluctuate at all, or did it stay pretty consistent throughout your childhood?
It was pretty consistent until I turned about 11. I was actually, throughout all of elementary school, I was a large print reader. It was pretty big print, but I was able to read textbooks. I did all my homework in large print. But luckily, when I was 6, I was taught how to read Braille. And so when I turned 11, when my eyesight started to deteriorate, I switched over to Braille without any difficulties. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, that is a good thing. So how were you completing your task work? Everything turned to Braille at that point, or was there any other ways that you completed your coursework?
Everything turned into Braille at that point. I also got a chance to learn assistive technology, so I was doing some JAWS work, but most of my homework was in Braille.
So when that transition happened, was there a grieving time? Did that happen for you?
So it didn't really hit me that my eyesight was deteriorating until I got around the age of 12 or 13. When I got to that age, it started to really affect me. I wasn't able to do as much as I used to. Like, I wasn't able to read my large print. And the way my doctor actually told me that my eyesight was deteriorating was kind of insensitive, only because I'm a kid. He was one of the doctors who was like straightforward. He didn't really want to sugarcoat anything or beat around the bush. And so I went to one of my appointments, and he was like, well, you're going to be blind, like totally blind by the time you're 13. And I was on my way to turn, I was about to turn 13. And that was really depressing because I'm so used to like having the little bit of sight that I have that I had. And so I was like really sad about that. And he was wrong because I still have a little bit of sight left. He was a really great doctor. He was really great, but he was wrong about that.
Yeah, I think we all have histories with vision doctors that tell us something. We're like, really? You would really say
Right,
that, you
yeah,
know?
like, and
And
I'm only 12, like, come on.
yeah, there's really no way to tell well how long you're gonna stay with your vision because it happens differently with everybody.
Right. I'm not quite sure what, I guess, he's a glaucoma specialist, so I'm sure he knows what he's talking about, but like you said, every case is different, so I'm honestly not quite sure why he felt that it was, like, important to tell me that.
Yeah. When you were growing up, did you get involved in school activities? Any organizations?
I actually got introduced to baseball when I was 11. I played baseball for a couple of years, and I also played goal ball all throughout high school and did regional and national tournaments with them. And then I did some track and field, and I did some cheerleading. So I was really active for a blind child. And it's crazy because my siblings, I have two sisters. Well, I have five sisters, but I grew up with two of them, and they're completely sighted. And I did more activities than they did. So it was, I don't know if it was because I was blind and my mom wanted to make sure I was inclusive, or if I was just more outgoing. I don't know what it was, but I did
Right.
a lot more than they did.
Yeah. Sometimes, whenever you're the blind child and you're the only one, the parents have a little bit more, they tend to be more sheltering at
Yeah.
times. And they're like, no, you're not going to do that. And they let you get out there and try it out and be
Yeah.
involved.
I think the reason why they were so open to me being more active is when I turned 10, I was put into an after school program for blind children in Atlanta. And that program had us doing everything. We did monthly activities, whether it was bowling or skating or skiing, we did everything. And so I think that opened my mom up more to and my dad up to more, letting me and wanting me to, live a normal childhood, which I think was great.
So you got to know a lot of blind kids the same age as you that were going through the same things that you were?
Yeah, I got to meet a lot of blind kids, and I got to also meet a lot of older blind professionals. We did a lot of career seminars and things like that. So it was a really great experience. That program, honestly, I don't know how I would be if I didn't attend that program, because it gave me the opportunity to be a normal kid, and it taught me about employment and all that, and all the good stuff.
Right. I know one of the things that really is difficult for some blind people is using their cane every day. How is that for you?
So it's funny, yes. When I was in elementary school, I didn't use a cane. I
Right.
had cane instruction, but I was like a rebel. I refused to use my cane. It was just not something that I wanted to do, and so I pretty much didn't start using a cane until I want to say 2010, when I became more active with the NFB. I went to a seminar, a leadership seminar, and I had a group of friends, and I had a folding cane because I had a cane. I just never wanted to use it. So I had a folding
Right.
cane, and I used to just have it tucked inside a pocket or under my arm. And they actually took it from me and threw it away. And it was like, if you're going to use a cane, you're going to use a straight one. Yeah. So they actually stole my cane and threw it away. And that kind of forced me to use a straight cane. But then I still wasn't using it the proper way because I didn't have the experience with a straight cane. And so I didn't really start using a cane the proper way until I attended the Louisiana Center for the Blind in 2012.
So right after graduating high school, did you go to the Louisiana Center for the Blind, or did you attend at a later time?
I attended at a later time. So after high school, I went off to college, and I struggled in college for a long time.
Did you leave home, or was it locally that you attended college?
I left home. I was about 3.5 hours away from home. That was one of my goals. Like when I was getting ready to graduate, I was like, I want to leave home. Because my older sister, she's like a year and a half older than me or so, and she went to college, but it was a local college, so she didn't go anywhere, and she still lived at home. And I was like, I'm not doing that. I want to be off on my own. And I left for 2 years, and then I came back home, and I got an apartment with a friend. And then that didn't work out. So then I moved in with my sister, and that didn't work out. So I ended up going back to college 3.5 hours away from home. And then when I did that, that's when I decided, or that's when I realized that I really needed training. And so then I went to training.
What was it that made you decide, hey, I need this extra training?
So I have glaucoma, and with glaucoma, you have calcium buildup. And so
Right.
at the time, I had a calcium breakage in my right eye. And so it kind of affected the little vision that I had because I wasn't really a great cane user. So I focused a lot on using my little vision. So I was walking on campus one day and I was going to the disability service office, and I've been there several times before, and I got lost, and I could hear the street, but I didn't know where I was, and that was really scary for me because I didn't know if I was super close to the street. I didn't know where the street was, so I
Right.
basically got lost in the parking lot, and that's when I was like, okay, because I was kind of like fighting against training. I had best friends that went to training, and I was like, I don't need that. Why are y'all doing that? And so then I I was like, shoot, I do need it. So that's when I decided that
Yeah.
I really need to go.
When you went to Louisiana Center, what was the hardest class?
Um, I guess travel because I was under
Travel.
sleep shades and I wasn't comfortable with not having any sight. And we had to do a lot of walk. Like we walked, I went, Ruston is a really small town. And so I walked all over Ruston. And so I wasn't familiar with the environment. And so that was really challenging. And I guess another one would be wood shop because I don't think it's like art savvy because it's dealing with wood and building, but I'm not really
Yeah.
that great with building things. And so that was challenging, like learning the measurements and making sure everything is aligned. And it was a
Yeah.
lot of work.
But with those challenges that they brought when you completed these courses, the confidence that they gave you was tremendous, don't you think?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, they were. It was like, so we had different classes. So I was the only woman in my class, and I was like the first one to finish. And so it was kind of cool that I like finished before all these guys. And and my one of the instructors were like, "This, look at her. She's out to showing out all you guys. What are y'all doing?" So that was that was kind of cool.
So in the wood shop, what did you build?
I built a jury box from cherry wood, and it has a glass door.
That's awesome. Do
Yeah,
you still have that?
I do. Yeah, and I wanted to build something more, but I was only in training for 6 months. That's how long it took me to complete. So I kind of accelerated through a lot of stuff, so I didn't really have that much time to build anything bigger. But I had a lot of jewelry at the time, so I was like, "Oh, I can put it to use." So
Exactly. You're like, this makes sense right
right,
here.
yeah.
So, what are you studying now?
So I'm getting my master's in clinical rehabilitation counseling at Texas Tech University Health Sciences Center.
And what do you want to do with that?
I am actually in the process of figuring that out.
Okay.
I want to work with blind and visually impaired individuals. So I will either be a vocational rehabilitation counselor or work at a university in the disability service office. But my degree, it kind of has a lot of avenues that I can go down. I can be a VRC, I can be a LPC, a licensed practitioner counselor. So I have a lot of options. Before I started my program, I knew that I wanted to be a vocational rehabilitation counselor, but now I'm learning so much about like mental health and disabilities and things like that. It's so broad. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't know that like all this. I mean, I knew that these things were out there, but I didn't know that I would be learning so much about like mental health and career counseling and diagnosing people. Like it's really cool. So I'm
Yeah.
open to anything.
That's great. You just completed your first year, going on your second year of the master's, or?
It's like I'm in year-round school. So I'm in my third semester. I've started last August. The goal is to go to school for the fall, spring, and summer courses so that I can finish in the 2.5 year mark.
So, because I know you have a couple of kids.
Yeah.
So tell me about that. How is it having your kids and then also attending school at the same time?
It can be challenging. So when I started school, me and Axel decided to put the kids into early Head Start. That way, it would allow me to focus on my schoolwork during the day, and then when they get home, I can focus all of my attention on family things. But then the pandemic hit in March, and schools are closed. Well, I believe their schools open now, but that has my children, they're home all day with us now. So now I do homework at night. I have a lot of late nights to do homework and catch up. So planning, like my weekly planner is like my best friend. I have to write everything down or I'll forget. So like I have I take 2 classes at a time. So I have 2 days designated for each class, and then I have my Sundays and my Fridays are my makeup days to like catch up and prepare. So it's a lot of work.
How do you do your planner?
I use my calendar on my phone. So each course that I'm taking, they have a course content page, and I just go down that course content and my syllabi, and I just put in all my dates, my due dates, and because I will forget. I have really bad scatterbrain, so
you gotta write
it down. Yeah, because it's a lot with like me going to school, and then now that my kids are at home all day, we're trying to teach them things. They won't fall behind in their development because they're little, so it's a lot of work.
How old are your kids?
My son is 2 and my daughter's 1. And I actually, when I first started, so like getting used to graduate school I had to get adjusted to it. I'm used to being an undergrad. So when I started my graduate program last August, and I missed an assignment, and I was like, oh my God, like, because I wasn't writing things down at that time, so it kind of like slipped my mind. And so from that point, I was like, I have to write everything down. This is not undergrad.
Yeah.
They're expecting me to be on a totally different level than as if I was getting my bachelor's. So I have to figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah. And I guess you realize real quick,
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, this one's different.
Yeah.
Tell me, Keisha, what is your passion? What drives you?
So I can tell you what drove me to like wanting to get my master's. So I decided to go into the vocational rehabilitation or clinical rehabilitation counseling program because when I was growing up, I had experiences with VR counselors that weren't the best. I've had a counselor tell me that I was stuck between the sighted world and the blind world. I also had a counselor tell me that school was not for me and they wanted to put me behind a desk. So I don't want blind people to go through what I have gone through because it can damage your self-esteem and your confidence. And so if I can like eliminate that for people with blindness, starting at the age when they're just trying to figure out what they want to do with life, like the transitioning age, I would love to do that. That's like my passion. I feel like the things that I have gone through, I can give back to younger blind people so that they don't have to experience that type of those type of things.
I'm glad to hear that you've turned that and you want to make sure you reach those potential individuals and impact them, in that way.
Yeah.
What would you tell someone who is blind and wants to attend school but doesn't know where to start and doesn't know how to start and how to get out there? What would you tell them to get that confidence to take that step to attend school?
I honestly, if you're like just coming out of high school, I strongly recommend going to a training center. It doesn't have to be an NFB center, but any type of non-visual learning training center will definitely be motivating. It'll help you build your confidence, and you'll also get connected with great professionals who are there to help you build the skills that like the non-visual skills and techniques that you need to be successful. I struggled a lot in college before I went to training, and unfortunately, I learned too late about training centers. But once I finished the training center, it was like no one could tell me that I couldn't do anything. And I had that confidence level to where I knew I could do like whatever I put my mind to. I just wish I had, I wish I had been introduced to training centers before I graduated high school, so I could have went straight to it. But I'm grateful that I got a chance to do it afterwards. So that would be, I guess, the biggest thing, to connect with someone like your vocational rehabilitation counselor. I believe you get one at the age of 14. Start talking to them early about training centers and getting the training that you need, because you will see a big difference in like your educational skills, your independent skills, all of that.
Right. Confidence.
Oh, yeah.
I want to congratulate you once again on winning the San Antonio Lighthouse Scholarship, and I wish you the best in all your studies.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Keisha, for giving us the time and joining us today on the Scholar Hour.
Thanks for having me.
The Emma Freeman Scholarship Fund was established in 1970 by the San Antonio Lighthouse in order to afford blind and visually impaired students the opportunity to obtain a college education. Scholarships are awarded annually in the spring and are applicable for 1 year or 2 semesters of college. You can obtain an application by going to www.salighthouse.org. Throughout this interview, you heard about beat baseball, go ball, and the National Federation of the Blind. To find out more information about beat ball, go to www.nbba.org or listen to the San Antonio Jets podcast by searching for Set Ready Ball, the Jet Life podcast on YouTube. To find out about go ball, go to www.usaba.org. And to find out about the National Federation of the Blind here in Texas, go to nfbtx.org and look up your local chapter. Make sure to follow the show on Twitter at The Blind Beat, and we'll be back very soon with another interview.